Welcome back, everybody. As you probably guessed from the title of the video and the intro footage, we are going over this pistol right here. It is brand new as of when I'm recording this video. It is the CSX from Smith Wesson, compact 12+1 or 10+1, depending on the magazine. We'll get into all that here in a little bit, but some big differences over what you have seen from them in the recent past. We have an all aluminum frame, well, not all, almost all aluminum frame, and then we also have a single action trigger as well as a manual thumb safety. So definitely a little bit different than the Shield and Shield Plus variants that have been coming out from over the years, but very similar in size. So with that, I suppose let's get into the details of the pistol, some of the cool, unique things about it, and then at the end we'll wrap it up with what I think of it overall. Before we get into the details on the pistol, I need to thank the sponsor of today's video, and that is the Society app. As the name implies, it is an app. You can download it on your app store or at the link here on your screen. And basically, it's the free speech app, if you will, free speech platform. Their rules are basically, if it's illegal and you see it on the app, call the cops. So there's no regulation what goes on in there, which I do like. Additionally, everything is encrypted. You can use it as a SMS type of service. You can also use it as like a Google Drive to send large documents, and again, they are fully encrypted. They don't get stored on a server somewhere. Basically, it just goes from one device to the other device, and that's it. So the encryption is off the charts. I've looked into it pretty extensively, and they do a good job at that. Additionally, it's also a social media platform. So for instance, there's different communities, which are like forums or subreddits, if you will. This one here is mine, and as you can see, I post different deals in the Mr. Guns and Gear thread, and people can take advantage of that, as well as photos like of this pistol, other things like that. And really, the app has a ton going for it, and unlike other social media apps, you are not the product. So they rely on a subscription-based model, which is $1.99 per month. So $2 a month to have fully encrypted communications. A lot of people value their privacy. So if that's you, I would definitely recommend checking it out. And you can also support your favorite creators as well by going to their page and hitting the support button. So it's kind of a dual use type of app. So with that, we'll get on with the video. Now that we've paid our bills, the sun decided to come out of nowhere, so we're going to continue on though with the details of the pistol. So in order to do so, we will clear it first. This is the 12-round magazine, and as you can see there, it has that little piece that goes in there, which makes it fit flush rather. Just one thing I always mention is if you carry this as a spare, I recommend taking that off, because sometimes, especially if you're carrying these upside down, it can end up like that, and then when you go to put it in the gun, sometimes it won't fully seat. Just my 2 cents on that. But again, if you're carrying it, I do get a full 4-finger grip or 3-finger grip on it with the 12-rounder, but with the 10-rounder, which of course is flush fitting on there, I don't really get that, but I have very large hands. Some of you may be able to get a little bit more finger on there than I can, but just know that going forward. Our backstrap here is interchangeable. It comes with 2 different backstraps. It is polymer, so it's not aluminum, as is the little insert here on the front. Both of those have the M&P 2.0 texturing on them, so it's very aggressive when you're shooting. But the rest of the frame, as you guys can see, is very smooth aluminum. I actually think that's a little bit weird. I'm not sure why they did that, but I would like to see a little bit of texturing in there. It wouldn't hurt. That said, I've had no issues with the pistol slipping because, as I've said in many videos, the areas where you want the most aggressive texture is right up here in front on the front strap and here on the back strap, because when you're firing and the side slide is cycling, that's what's trying to push up and pull up as you fire. So with that, I should also point out, you guys probably noticed I do have the safety engaged, and you are able to cycle a slide with the safety engaged. That is a nice feature that's not available on a lot of guns with thumb safeties. First shots with the new CSX from Smith & Wesson with some Minuteman munition. We shall see. First impressions, it's more manageable than I would have thought. Very low perceived recoil, probably that aluminum frame. We have the small grip inserted here just for demonstration purposes, and to change it out is fairly simple. They give you this little polymer punch. It comes with it from the factory in the box, and you're going to push up. You're going to feel a detent. Sometimes it's a little bit tricky because it's not that long of a punch, but if you use a full-size punch, it's actually a little bit easier in my opinion. But you're just going to push up. It releases that detent right there, and then you can pull your grip off. And then if you want to replace it with a different one, basically you're just going to put it up and under, and then you're going to want to compress that detent down, push down and in, at least from this perspective anyway. There you go, just like so. And you can see that detent clicks back into place. Again, I have larger hands. I prefer the larger insert, but some of you guys might like the smaller insert, so they give you that option. Continuing upward on the gun, our magazine release is really nice in my opinion. It just sticks out just enough so that way you can very easily actuate it. You don't have to hunt for it or anything like that, and when you hit it, your mags will drop free because of course they are steel in an aluminum frame, which is nice. And it is not ambidextrous, but it is reversible. In order to do so, it's fairly simple. There's a little screw hole over there, and then they give you this one here, which you can just swap out, which is the left-handed version of it. It's the only part that's not ambidextrous on the gun. Everything else is. So with that, of course, we have our ambi thumb safety, our ambi slide stop and slide release. And again, just like the mag release, I think they really got this one right. It has good serrations on there. It's very easy to actuate, both to lock the slide open as well as to let it go home. In the past, several pistols out there on the market, would have a problem because I shoot with a high thumbs grip, accidentally hitting it and actuating it, causing a false slide lock. Absolutely not the case here with this pistol. They just kind of did it right. Again, for a concealed carry pistol, it adds this very, very minimal width to it, so much so that you're probably not going to notice it. And continuing forward, one thing we definitely need to talk about is going to be this trigger. It's interesting. It's a flat face trigger, sort of looks like a 1911 trigger, but it has a trigger safety on there. So unless you press that dingus, as many folks call it, you will not get your pistol to fire. But of course, with a natural positioning of your hand on the trigger, it will automatically do that. So it's an additional safety that, again, a lot of guns that have a manual thumb safety simply won't have. So with that, let's get up close and personal and take a look here at this trigger pull. As you can see there, the pistol is clear, no magazine, no round. And at this point, we will put down our safety lever. I should note, it does have a nice positive detent to it. Hopefully my mic will pick it up here. Not mad about that at all. In terms of the trigger, once we take this little bit of prep out with that trigger safety, a little bit of movement, and then we have a brake. On my scale, it's braking right at 6.5 pounds. Here's the problem with the trigger, and really the only one I found with the gun so far. It has sort of a false reset. So let me see if you guys can see that. Right there, it just felt like it reset. It also has a little bit of an audible notification of reset as well, but you can see there, it's not firing. And the actual reset is right there. Now it will fire. So that has to do with the plunger that's in there, and it's just releasing right there. And then you have to let it a little bit further out right there to actually get your trigger to reset. Now, the vast majority of shooters do not shoot to reset. I've mentioned this in many videos. So for most of you out there, that will not be an issue of any consequence. But for folks who do shoot to reset, it's definitely something that you'll have to get used to. And right now is when I'm filming this, it is on the 4th. And we were out here a couple days ago with my family members and kind of inexperienced shooters. But I was talking about learning how to use a reset, etc. So one of them was trying to do so with this pistol, and basically fired a shot, let it out, thought he had a reset, and then kept going like that, thinking that he had a malfunction. Looked at me like, what do I do? I said, let the trigger out, and he did, and it fired. So that can be an issue, obviously, in a self-defense type situation. But again, 98% of people do not shoot to reset. So not an issue for everyone, but I do wish it wasn't there. Shooting some steel case through it, Red Army standard. Just fine. One thing I neglected to point out as we moved up on the frame is that it does have a nice high undercut, letting you get very high up underneath that trigger guard. They did a good job with that on the aluminum frame. And the trigger guard is not as large as some out there, like it's not as large as a lot of their carry guns like Shield Plus, for example, but it does give you a decent amount of room. Some folks who live in really cold areas, just consider that if you're going to plan on concealed carrying with this, if you're wearing heavy gloves. Continuing on forward, you'll see there it does not have a rail for lights or lasers. That said, Smith Wesson is owned by the same parent company as Crimson Trace. I would imagine in the future they're going to come out with some sort of custom, made for this gun type of light. But as of right now, I don't know that because, again, the pistol is just now coming out. Our slide here has nice slide serrations up there at the front as well as at the rear. And just like they have on their Shield EZ pistols, it has these little wings here at the rear of the rear serrations, rather, I should say. So that way it sticks out and gives you an even better purchase on the slide. But the serrations themselves are very, very good. And I've had no issues running the slide, or if you want to do a press check or whatever the case may be, gives you a good firm grip on there. Slide itself is finished with their Armornite finish, which is their term for nitriding. It has great properties. We've gone over them before, but for folks who are new, good surface hardness, good corrosion resistance, good lubricity. And even when the surface that you see starts to wear, the actual properties of that Armornite finish are still imparted into the metal itself beyond the surface that you can actually see. So it's a fantastic finish. Up there on top, we do have anti-glare serrations built into the top strap of the pistol. That said, I've never seen glare on the top of a pistol, and I shoot out in the sun all the time, but some folks have, so there you go. It's a nice feature. It does have all steel 3-dot sights. We have a square notch rear here with the serrations on there. Has a nice ledge if you want to do one-handed manipulations. And then up front, of course, just a simple white dot with serrations all the way around. With that, let's get into how to take this pistol down and look at the internals. For the takedown of the pistol, it's pretty darn simple. Basically, we're just going to drop our magazine if you have one. Obviously, we don't. We're going to lock our slide back. And at this point, we verified that we are clear. Now, what you want to do here is you will see this little cutout right there in the frame. You're going to want to line that up with the portion here that's about to come out of your slide stop, and see that little hole right there. You're just going to push that out. You can use a punch, or you can use, in this case, a 223 bullet casing. Once you get those two parts lined up, just like so, and now we're just going to punch it through, and it comes out as you see there. Pull out that, and now our slide will come right on off. No need to press the trigger or anything like that. We can take out our mainspring housing, which is metal. I know a lot of folks do dig that. Take a look here at our barrel, which again has that Armornite treating as well on there. It's 3.1 inches, and it has a nice polished feed ramp for feeding hollow points. We haven't had any issue doing so far. You guys can see a good bit of wear on the barrel. That's because we've been shooting it, testing it out. But you can see a lot of folks will say this is a very 1911-like pistol, and in some ways I suppose it is, but the barrel is very different there in that regard. And then you can look in there and see the machining or lack thereof machining marks within the slide. Very good finish overall. If you're a fit and finish guy, this is definitely a gun you will like. And looking at our frame there, you can start to see we have some wear on the rails, but again, that's just good old-fashioned use. Again, no chatter marks, nothing like that on any surface. I don't have a ton of pistols with me here for comparison's sake, but we'll put up the actual size specifications of the pistol here on your screen. But again, it's similar in a lot of ways to a Shield Plus in most dimensions. Anybody thinking it's like a micro compact that's going to go in your pocket? Well, here's a Ruger LCP, and just for comparison's sake, and you can see there is a significant difference there in terms of width, length, all of those sorts of things. Of course, this is 380, but this is traditionally considered a pocket gun, where something like this, you'd have to have pretty large pockets. I suppose it's possible, but most folks are going to be rocking out with a in the waistband type of holster with this particular firearm, in my opinion. And the good news is that there are holsters available for this pistol as of this video. We've got some Federal HST 124 grain plus P hollow points. We'll see how it runs with that load. Seems to eat them up just fine. at this point in the video, I think you guys have seen most of the important things you need to know about this pistol. A few things that we haven't discussed so far, of course, is going to be reliability. As of right now, this gun has 600 rounds through it, which explains the wear that you guys just saw. And we've had 0 malfunctions of any kind. That said, somebody thought they had a malfunction because of that trigger, but they actually didn't. So in terms of reliability, you can't do any better than that. Accuracy has been phenomenal. This thing shoots really, really well. One thing that was interesting though, is when shooting Minute Ammunition's 124 grain, which is the majority of what we put through it, it was shooting point of impact, point of aim, but with Red Army Standard, it shot left. I have no idea why, but it is what it is. That said, you can drift adjust these sights to whatever load you're using if they don't line up, so that is a good thing. In terms of price point on these, the MSRP is just over $600. However, right now, you can find these for $549. That's the cheapest I've found them to date. And of course, there will be a link down below in the video description if you guys are looking to pick one up. And just what do I think of the pistol overall? A couple things. I think it's a fantastically well-made pistol. In terms of these types of small carry guns, one of the downsides of them is they tend to be more difficult to shoot. And one of the reasons for that is the weight. So this one here with the aluminum frame comes in at 20 ounce, which is unloaded. So when you have it fully loaded, of course, you're adding extra weight in there, and the recoil impulse really is not bad at all. And when you compare it to something like a Shield Plus, for example, it, in my opinion anyway, shoots a little bit flatter than that. It also has a very low bore access, which I like, and I should note that because of that, I've actually had a little bit of a rubbing going on there on my thumb as that slide comes back. It's not biting me and cutting me, but I feel it every now and then, and you know what? I don't care. I prefer it. I prefer that low bore access, so that way we can get back on target quickly with follow-up shots. Like we said, the machining and all of those things is fantastic. If they could figure out a way to not have that false reset, I would definitely prefer it. Again, for most people, it's not going to be an issue. But all in all, it seems like a very, very well-made gun. And for folks that like that single action option, so that way you have a little bit more of a crisp trigger, because like I said, it's not super lightweight, but because the pull is so short, it's very crisp, and it makes practical accuracy very, very good, which is always a good thing on any gun, particularly on small guns where that is not always the case. And with that, I suppose we will close the video out. If you guys have any questions about the pistol that we didn't answer, you can post them down below in the comments section. If you like this type of video and you're not subscribed, definitely go ahead and hit that subscribe button. If you've done that and you've hit the notification bell, you can sign up for my email list here. This is an email that goes out at most once a month, generally not even that. And it just contains all of the videos since the last email went out, so that way there's no social media giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, if this thing goes on sale, holsters go on sale, etc., you can sign up for my daily deals email, which as the name implies, it's an email that goes out every day, and it has 6 or 7 of the best deals that we find around the internet on that particular day. And it saves you some time. It also saves you some money because I do the looking for you. And if it's in the email, it's the cheapest that I know of at that time anywhere on the internet. So there's definitely good deals to be had. So with that, I suppose, thank you very much for watching. I look forward to seeing all of you in the next video.